Hello Railways Africa and welcome to Coffee with the Editor. It's been a while since I was last with Patrick from Siemens Mobility here in South Africa, and it's lovely to be with you once again.
You're welcome to our facility here in Randburg, North Riding, and good to talk to you again.
So there's actually quite a lot of exciting things happening in the rail space in Africa, but more specifically here in South Africa. And I think open access is one of them. Take me through how Siemens Mobility is positioning itself to meet the new face of Transnet.
We need to take our hats off to Transnet. They've made great strides in moving forward in terms of setting up, firstly, a first version of the network statement, which I understand is currently being redrafted, and also making the permanent placements in the organization. That's a huge step in the right direction, in my opinion. And if I look at Siemens, we've been a long-standing partner of Transnet. Some of our signaling equipment goes back 35 to 40 years. For us as Siemens Mobility, we understand the network. We have been working with Transnet for a long time, and we have the technology to enable TRIM to move in the right direction to facilitate operators on the line and open access.
Minister of Transport Barbara Creecy has openly said 2029 for the organisation to be back to moving 250 million tonnes, or the network to be moving 250 million tonnes. There's a lot that goes into making that happen.
Importantly, what we need to do is look at the existing infrastructure on the ground. There must be some improvement. We understand, Transnet and TRIM are putting in steps to rehabilitate certain sections of the corridor. To start with, Siemens Mobility was awarded a project for the Northern Corridor to help and replace the relay-based interlocking which they have on site with electronic interlocking. Standardization plays an important part, especially when it comes to open access, because you need to use a technology that more than one operator is fully aware of. ETCS is a standard known as European Train Control. Let's not get away from the European side of it. It is not necessarily only European. It is used across the world in different countries and Africa as well. PRASA have already fitted their fleet, including releasing tenders to implement ETCS in different parts of South Africa. But coming back to what you want to say and to improve the tonnage of the lines, we have to get our network and infrastructure up to standard. The current relay-based interlocking, they've been vandalized, there's been damage to that infrastructure, as well as it is not able to increase the throughput that we want to see reliably and safely, which is most important. What we need to do is get trains running faster, smaller intervals. So instead of running between 1 hour per train, you need to do it 7 to 15 minutes, etc. And what we have to do is look at the interlocking, change it from relay-based, put in electronic interlocking. That also helps with the theft and vandalism aspect that we spoke about. The older architecture had a lot of cable. The newer electronic SICAS S7 interlocking that Siemens uses, the architecture is different. And the Incab signaling from Transnet RFI that was released. There are different solutions to cater for that. With Incab signaling, some of the line-side equipment is now being moved into the cabs, alleviating a lot of possibility for further theft and vandalism on the equipment that's on the track.
Whilst I'm super excited about open access, how are we going to find that interoperability with the newcomers coming onto the system with different rolling stock? How's that all going to work?
One important point that has to take effect in South Africa is standardization. We have multiple operators, different people who are now using one network. Standardization has to be implemented. And in that regard, I've already mentioned ETCS. If we take a step back and understand, it became a necessity where trains were running between different countries, different cities. They needed to be able to talk to each other, to understand what was going on. And a lot of people, countries, organizations got together and invested with a standardized solution like ETCS. All of the development, the further enhancement is being supported by all these countries. So you have a standard solution, people understand the technology, they can be what's known as a digital handshake, which is understood between different operators, and trains can run safely and efficiently on the same lines.
So I think that message really needs to be driven home. When we talk about South Africa and Southern Africa railway operations, especially with open access, I have to reiterate, open access means that we will be able to go from here through other regions. And we have over the years been talking about that harmonization, standardization, interoperability. And I believe that the ETCS is really what drives that, as we have in Europe and other places. How do we get that practically going?
We have our rail safety regulator who is in place in South Africa. These standards need to be accepted, adopted by all of the railway associations and bodies around the country, not just Transnet themselves and our neighboring countries. Together in at least the SADC region, we should be talking to each other. We should understand that, we have one common goal at the end of the day, to move and help industry to move their freight, be it mining commodities, be it fruits, or whatever industry that we're in, faster, efficiently, and more on time, right? Right now, one of our biggest challenges is we don't move the volumes that we do. And for the country's revenue, for the country's economy, this has to be done. We are struggling right now for multiple reasons. It is the right move from Transnet Trim to establish this, to look at open access, and to be able to implement it. I think we still have a way to go. Our infrastructure first needs to be improved. We need to understand where our trains are. Train planning software, train management, train scheduling also plays a big part in this. We can't just improve the infrastructure, but not have the right tools in place to be able to manage and understand where our trains are, when they will reach certain destinations.
That's the operational efficiency.
That forms an important part of it. We are involved. Siemens have solutions. We have been doing this. We are implementing it across the world. There's been a lot of talk about our Egypt project, etc. But you have different types of operations on the same lines, right? And mainline between high speed and normal mainline, as well as freight trains operating on the same lines. And those things are done with proper planning tools.
We bring in our Incab signaling, and then we look at operations, the train planning and all the rest of it, improving headway. And one always thinks that when we talk about improving the headway between the trains, that we're talking about a passenger solution. It's not often said in the same framework as freight. How is that going to come together?
In one sense, we're moving people. In the other sense, we're moving commodities, we're moving general freight, but we all want to move things faster and safely, right? Currently, if we're doing it at 1 hour headway, for us to be able to improve this, we need some signaling equipment in place. And that signaling equipment takes care of the safety aspect of it firstly, giving authorizations when it was supposed to be done and without any human intervention in that. It needs to be reliable, right? If you as a private operator on that line, you want to know your freight is arriving at the port at X time, instead of being unknown, you can't track your train, you can't get your rest of your logistics in place, which plays a big part. It's an entire value chain that is affected.
How does the Incab signaling actually kind of work? Because obviously my journey with Siemens, I've seen some incredible stuff. So like, the ETCS, the cloud-based interlocking, which would save many countries lots of money because there's nothing to steal. So how does the system function with the Incab signaling?
So basically the logic of the signaling that we have along the track is now built into the Incab signaling. And that allows us at a later stage to remove some of the line-side equipment.
We're talking about some of the overall signaling activity moving from trackside into the cab. I'm going to use the word autonomous, things happening when things are not going according to plan. But this is not just a Siemens Mobility technology. This is OEM agnostic.
That's correct. And I think you've made an important point here, which we should recognize. One of the things we want, and especially in our country, is competitive offers, competitive companies, and multiple people being able to work. Not one company can implement everything that we need to do. And going with a standardized solution like ETCS and the Incab signaling, which has the ETCS onboard unit, this allows multiple companies to come into South Africa to play, to bring further investment into the country, and also to help in terms of the rail revitalisation. If it's non-proprietary, I think that's the important statement you made. A lot of development from multiple companies and countries go into ETCS. And we benefit from this as it goes along with time without direct investment into it. If you had to procure a proprietary solution, every time changes are needed, you would need to pay for it. And as Transnet would need to keep on investing and investing and investing to specifically do what they want. Whereas you have a standardized solution which to be able to deliver the same for you.
It's in that breath that we can say it's actually quite cost effective, especially when we start talking about operators in Africa coming together with their own rolling stock and having to make that investment.
You allow yourself an open, competitive bidding process. You're not stuck in a monopoly where only one company can provide you with a product. If you're unhappy with service delivery from one company, you're more than welcome to go to another. The fact that there is a standard written, anyone can play in the space who has a proven and tested solution. Globally, not just in Europe, so references are available all over the world. And I believe this is one of the reasons that PRASA adopted this technology when they fitted their Incab onboard units in their new Blue Fleet. If we look at Africa itself, again coming back to E for European, there is some thought about the name. We currently have ETCS deployed in Morocco, in Egypt, and in Tanzania. We've also adopted the same standard here in our African continent.
As we talk about the move to new technology and signaling, how is this going to really positively impact theft and vandalism?
Our proven theft and vandalism measures, which we've implemented during our rollout of the Pretoria Salisbury project with PRASA, was very well realized, I would say, in the field. There were no incidents of theft and vandalism.
South Africa is quite an exciting market right now for rail and potential rail projects. You are aware the Minister of Transport also recently announced the triple Ps with the first range of tenders or the first tranche of RFIs going out, and obviously the passenger ones coming out quite soon. How do you think Siemens Mobility can get involved? And I'm specifically looking not just from a technology perspective, but from a funding and finance perspective.
EPC+F and ECA cover. Siemens is very, very well versed in doing business, conducting business in this manner. We have successfully executed large-scale infrastructure projects around the world with our turnkey business units along similar methods. The PSP initiatives that the minister has released, the first thing was, what was nice about it was they went out to market to understand the different models that is available. We are more than willing to work with the companies and be able to be the technology partner, as well as bring funding into the equation to support the rail infrastructure development in the country.
This obviously means you're well positioned to also be involved with the high-speed plans.
You know, we have had preliminary discussions together with Gautrain and the colleagues from the Gauteng Premier's office. We are well placed. We've done it. We are doing it currently in Egypt. And it's something that really interests us to be able to help and to invest in a project like this in the country.
So aside from the funding, would you bring your trains in as well?
I think you seen how beautiful our train looks when we were in Germany last year. A lot of engineering effort goes into it. We will make sure that the train that we offer into the market here in South Africa is fit for purpose. As an example, you know, when we discussed it with the Egypt train, you had to look at the dust conditions, the local environment, and those factors. So when the designs are released for some of these projects, we could consider and look at the best possible solution fit for purpose for that.
Local capability and expertise that you bring to the South African market that you have here already established, both in your technology and as well as people and manufacturing. What does the future hold?
We are able to deliver, and we have been delivering in all our projects, greater than 65% local content here from our facility and our premises. Importantly, also the engineering capabilities sit here. So we have trained signaling engineers, trained design engineers that are able to build all of these solutions for us in-house. We don't have to leave South Africa to get it done. So local for local. From Siemens Mobility, from our people here, we need this infrastructure development. We need the rehabilitation of our rail lines. We need new technology, innovative technology to be able to take us to 2030, to deliver firstly on the demands of the industry, on the wishes of our minister, reach the tonnage that we're supposed to do, move the passengers that we need to do faster, safely, and reliably. I think that's very important to note. And how we need to do that is look at the main points that I've emphasized on during our discussion. Standardization plays a big role in that. Funding and investment from the private sector is important. Our country is heavily reliant on funding and investment and loans. Funding and investment must also come with expertise and experience, right? Experience of where it's happened before, and companies like Siemens have done it in multiple occasions in different countries around the world successfully. We are Siemens Mobility. We transform the everyday for everyone.